Hi guys, I'm Richard Huente, and today we're going to go over my process on how I made my slave Leia painting called Eyes on the Prize. So, let's get busy. Okay, let's get things going here, and we're going to start off in Procreate. Here I'm using the inking tool, and I actually wanted to start showing the sketch portion of the painting, but for some reason Procreate didn't export that when I exported the MP4 video, so we'll have to go straight to the inking portion of it. Now we're flatting in her skin tones and costume and getting started in the rendering of the skin tones. And for this I'm mostly using just the standard round brush in the painting section of the brush tools. I don't really use a whole bunch of different effect brushes or anything like that. I just kind of stick to the default tools and just modify them a little bit, mess it with the opacity and the size. So here you can see I'm just touching up the shading part of it, adding in some more dark tones. Still just working my way around. Now the hair. I always start with the base tone of the area I'm working on, and then I'll add in the darks and then the lights, and then finally some highlights if it needs it. So I'm just kind of flip-flopping back and forth between the character and the background, you know, just kind of turning on and off the layers to see where I'm at. And I also do quite a bit of zooming, but as you can see, it didn't capture the zooming part of it, so but I do use quite a bit of zooming. And here I'm going in the background, starting the coloring and rendering of Jabba. Once again, just using the basic round brush. And then I'll also use the smudge tool when I'm blending in the colors and values. Now 3PO in the background, using some cool greens for the reflections and shaded areas. And then I like to turn on the main character every now and then just to make sure things are kind of cohesive with the whole painting. You know, kind of make sure everything ties in together so that the colors and values don't clash. And here I'm sketching in a background, kind of framing the picture with some of the architecture that's found in Jabba's hut. And then playing with some of the shading and adding some texture, where I'm going to add in some typography later on the top portion of the painting. There you can see more cast shadows, playing with some lighting. Now adding in more detail for Jabba the Hutt. And then just kind of working my way around. And I wanted to add a little bit more dramatic lighting to her, so you can see I added some more cast shadows to her. And then at this point I felt it needed another character, so I put in Salacious Crumb, and I just added it right underneath 3PO because I thought there was a little bit of a dead space there, so I thought it would look cool just to add another element. And in this case it turned out to be Salacious Crumb. Now I am in Photoshop. I took it from Procreate into Photoshop. So I'm just kind of tweaking with the colors, you know, getting the values deepened a little bit, maybe a little bit more contrast, working on the background. And on this part I wasn't real happy with the placement of the eye, so you can see I'm kind of tweaking it and correcting some of the angles on it. And here I'm fixing or re-rendering the eye portion of it. So it looked okay to me before, but you know, it's just little details like that that were kind of bothering me. So that's why I decided to fix it up in Photoshop. And here, adding in more detail and contrast to the torso area. And I wanted to be careful not to put too much lights. I don't want it to come out too shiny in that area. And then right here, adding or going over the reflected light area. Okay, so now I'm opening up Painter, Corel Painter. I'm gonna add in some glows to kind of give it some special effects here to, you know, make the picture more interesting. Even though it's probably good enough to go as it is, I thought adding a little bit of glows to it and some highlights would kind of, you know, make the picture a little bit more better. So, or make the picture better. So just kind of going over the entire area and see where the glows would work out best, and being careful not to overdo it. But you definitely want to put some in there just to add more visual interest. Make the colors pop out a little bit in certain areas. Just to give it a little bit more sparkle. So we're still in Corel Painter here, using the glow tool. And I think we're gonna get out of the program shortly, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, we're still adding some glows here, so bear with me. You can see where I'm working my way around the picture just to see where I think, you know, they'll work best. Okay, now we're out of Painter and going back into Photoshop. And we're going to do some final touch-ups on the painting itself. And then I did add in some typography at the very top, but I didn't record that section. So, you know, maybe in a different video we'll make a tutorial on how to create some cool typography for your artwork. But for now, we'll concentrate on just the rendering and painting aspects of this artwork. You can see those touches of color where I added in her skin tones to kind of put a little bit of variation. And that's another thing too I plan on doing, is making a complete tutorial on how I do my skin tones in digital format. So right here I'm just kind of working my way around the drawing and seeing where it needs a little bit more refinement or reflected lights, just more detail where I think I might need it. I kind of like that red fabric. And then just adding a little bit more detail to the chain area, working on those shadows and lights, giving it some more contrast, and then turning on the background layer to see how it all looks. So yeah, just working my way around. You can see I used quite a bit of that purple tone to kind of tie things together all over, so hopefully that worked. Adding a little bit more details to Java, make him look more slimy. And working on those reflected lights at the bottom, so it's not just a flat dark color at the bottom, you know, just a big mass of darkness. Kind of want to break it up with a little bit of color. And then working on Salacious right there. Can't forget about that little guy. 3PO, same, getting the same treatment. A little bit more detail. And here is the final piece. Hope you like how it came out. Please don't forget to like and subscribe and check out my Patreon.